Good morning, guys. You know, I wanted to come and do a video last night and this morning, but there's been something holding me back. And it's a strange phenomenon. And that's the only way to say it. Something happening all over the world. Okay, and I'd like you to pay attention. Now, I just posted a video up on the Witness page and Street Wisdom Bible page about the shaman recently changing, the frequencies changing all over the earth. This is a very strange phenomenon. We talk about frequencies, vibrations, and about magnetic field shifting, energy, and these things. Now, we have a report of the actual frequencies and the resonance of the planet changing all over the earth and time going out of whack. There are people getting very strange dreams and also insomnia. People getting head spins, lightheaded. These reports are coming from a lot of places all over the world. Now, before I come here to do a video about this, I talked to a few people that I know myself that's going through some strange events. You might notice Nikki Douglas made a video just yesterday, I believe, and she said she had insomnia and couldn't get to sleep. Right? Now, a lot of people are getting visions and dreams with insomnia. Okay, it's like they're half asleep or can't go to sleep. Very restless. We have a very close friend who's been getting a lot of visions and dreams here in Denmark the last few days, and quite horrifying dreams. She came and spent the night with us last night, and she had no dreams for the first time in 5 weeks. Now, how do you explain this? Because I want to explain something to you. There's a few people right here in Denmark, another lady named Anya, who I'm very close to and got very close to as well. She had very terrible nightmares, like burning dreams non-stop. Every time she went to sleep, she got caught in a fire and woke up before she got burnt. Every time I went to see her, she wouldn't dream for 2 days. How do you explain these things? Because I can't. I can't explain this. But people have very bad nightmares and dreams. When I see them and they come and see me in person, they go away. We just experienced that very evidence again this morning from a good friend named Lulu. She's African, from Kenya. She's a very dear friend I've known for about 3.5 years. She was mind-blowing that she didn't have any dreams last night, because we talked about this last night before she went to bed. Then she woke up with that evidence this morning. How do you explain these things? I have a follower here from Germany. Him and his group of people went through something very mythological, as if they lost time over the last few days. Now, it's funny, when I made a video the other day, me and Maren here together, we expressed in our video just a few days ago from Norway when we were up at the cabin. You know, when Maren just come out of hospital? Something very mythological happened to us for about 2 days up there, didn't it?
Yes.
Something very, like the atmosphere changed. We were sitting down talking about how much the atmosphere was changing and shifting. Like something was happening, and we couldn't work out what it was, but we felt fantastic.
Yes.
We didn't feel any problems. Those 2 days, we felt absolutely fantastic. Now there's reports coming out something about 35 hours being missing. Now, we don't have any missing time.
No.
We certainly don't have any missing time, but there's people talking about missing 35 hours. The video that I posted is a video about the shaman resonance changing and the frequencies and the evidence, and that apparently 35 hours has gone missing for some people. So something very strange and a strange phenomenon is happening. Listen, you may have heard on the internet there was something flying through the sky, landed in a backyard on CNN News on mainstream. It's being spoken about on Joe Rogan. It's on every platform practically that you can think of, where something fell out of the sky, where even an officer filmed it from a waist camera, an onboard camera. So there was evidence of this on news, on film. And then a report from where this thing landed, somebody saw two very high beings, strange beings, 8 to 10 foot tall. This is getting all over the social media platform. Let me tell you something. Okay, a lot of people are not aware of this, but exactly the same reports is coming from 3 other locations with strange beings that describes exactly the same, 8 to 10 foot tall. Now, I don't know what to make from this. I'm not going to make any opinions from this. It's just what we're hearing. And it's just funny how everything's falling together with the UFO disclosure and all these things, right? And we just had a national press conference about this the other day for 4 hours with Dr. Stephen Steer and 750 whistleblowers. There's a lot of strange things happening in the world at the moment. Well, let me tell you something, okay? I want to make something clear to you, right? I'm going to tell you something, right? The last 5-6 days, I've had very dizzy spells. Okay? Very dizzy spells, lightheaded and very dizzy. Okay? Now, I'm going to go into some details about this for a reason. I know a lot of prophets in history, like Kim Clement, one of the most well-known prophets who died in 2016. He predicted a lot of things about Trump without even knowing the name, and Biden, and many other things coming into play. And his predictions were really perfect, right? That's why he's known as one of the biggest prophets at the moment and talked about on many different channels. I urge you to go and watch Kim Clement and listen to some of these prophets that he made back in the back around 2000 to 2014. Very interesting. Kim Clement started getting dizzy spells as well. Okay, he didn't have headaches or anything. He just started getting bad dizzy spells. And his daughter believes he passed away from those spells. She said he had headaches. A lot of prophets seem to go this way. So I want to make something clear. Okay, something very powerfully clear. I'm used to this. I've been here before. I've gone through this experience before, and I died. I died for 23 minutes. They told me I had a stroke. They couldn't find nothing. They examined me for everything. I was unconscious for 36 hours. When I woke up, I was paralyzed from my neck down. They told me I'd never walk again. I got up and walked out in 45 minutes, and I was still limping on my right leg. 3.5 years later, I went to see a cardio specialist who gave me the confidence to believe that miracles happen, and he'd seen people like me before that's been out cold, had a stroke, right? And he said, my right hand leg is a confirmation that I did in fact have a stroke because there's nothing wrong with me. They couldn't find nothing wrong with me. I had a major heart attack in 2008 with 3 stents fitted, and they believed that I had a lack of oxygen that was caused by stress-related diseases that caused this problem. Now, I knew something different happened. And I don't know how, I don't know why, but I just knew something different happened. When they told me I never walk in, I got up and walked out, but I didn't walk out, right? It took me 45 minutes to move every limb in my body. Then my son walked in, I put my arm around his shoulders and walked out, and then I was limping on that leg for the next 3.5 years non-stop. So 3.5 years later, we discovered that I'd grown new arteries around my stents. My arteries were better than 2008. My DNA had changed. And I can't explain these things, but the cardio specialist gave me the confidence to believe in myself and said, whatever I did that day, I had to go back and visit that day because I did it myself. He said, there's nothing wrong with my leg. I'm still limping on my leg because I did in fact have a stroke and I was dead. Excuse me. So his confidence, right? He gave me the confidence to believe I did it myself. When that happened, I walked out of that surgery, and I started to walk perfectly straight on my leg again because I went back to that moment when I got out of hospital and walked out in 45 minutes. So that was a confidence that I did it myself. I mean, that was a confirmation. But here's something I want to tell you. This happened in 2012. In 2012, many people chosen all over the world, right? They were already doing things and wrote books even before this date. And they didn't even know why. They thought they were doing something for a reason, but didn't really know why. So many people are on a certain path here, doing certain things in their life, not even understanding why they did it. They just did it, right, with their intuition and following their heart. Doing the right thing, right? And a lot of these people went through a massive mythological event in 2012, and people got a vortex of information like David Icke did in 1994, the same experience. Even Laurie Ladd talks about this event that happened to her in 2012, and also talks about many people that she knows that this mythological event happened to as well. And they all had some sort of vortex of information where they got a head spin. And some people died and crossed over and came back. I'm not the only one. The people that died and crossed over and came back all have the same story to tell, that a voice came in the mind that told them they were going to die until they did. I'm not the only one. Now, that time in 2012, we were going through exactly the same thing that's happening now. That's why I'm bringing this up, but it's far more intense than some people. Okay? And we went through a mythological event for 18 months with many different events that happened over 18 months. And it seems like everyone I talked to about this went through the same things I did, or very similar. Okay? And there are people right now that are speaking up on the platforms all over the world, right, doing the same thing I do with their technology and their evidence and what they went through in their life with their education and wherever they come from, whatever culture. But it seems to be a lot of people from the underground world. It seems to be a lot of street people that are considered to be outlaws in this world that went through this, or people that didn't comply to the system. And let me tell you something about this that's very important to every person in the world. Some of us in this world, we knew, right, and this is something I come to learn with all of us, we knew there was something wrong with commercialing and TVs, right, and didn't take to the system. We dropped out of school very early, all of us. Every single one of us dropped out of school between 10, 11 and 12 years old and couldn't comply to the system. Every single one of us took a different path and didn't fit into the system and became outlaws. And I don't mean criminals or on drugs, I mean just didn't comply to the system and took their own path and stood on their own feet to fend for themselves, because they were all suffering from stress and anxiety and depression or ADHD or any of these things. They didn't like what was going on and disconnecting themselves. And that happened all the way back in the 60s and the 70s. Okay, a lot of these people that I talk about, it happened back then. And we took a different path, and we started to realize, right, how they were manipulating us on TV with commercialing and five senses. And we knew we were being programmed on five senses through education to be competitive. And we could see that back in the 70s, right? And no one else could. So we were watching the whole world starting to get polarized and engineered into a hypnotized state. And it happens to everybody practically. And it's happening to more and more people every single day. And you know what? You know what you're facing today? I'll tell you what you're facing. You're facing a lot of people in the world that can't handle the system anymore, right? And breaking down their neurolinks. Stress and anxiety going through the roof to 54% of the population today. Stress and anxiety caused from the AI world and artificial intelligence and artificial thinking, where we think too much. Stress-related diseases kills 93% of people in the world today from neuro breakdowns in the spinal cord. All the same thing. Our body cells going corruption, curse and collusion. All the same thing. Heart attacks, blood clots, myocarditis, cancer, MS disorders, ADHD, all mental diseases, all gene defects. All the same thing. Negativity creating extinction that's created by psycho programs, reverse psychology, be competitive, right? And the whole modern strategy of every single thing to do with televisions on five senses and negative fields, and not the sixth sense, being stripped from that. We don't use it anymore. We're not in harmony with nature or anything anymore. Let me tell you something about frequencies that people aren't aware of. When we talk about the shaman being out of whack and the frequencies being out of whack all over the world, let me explain something to you. You've got to get through your thick skull. And why you're part of the problem, not part of the cure. I want to make this very clear to you. I'm here for a reason, right? Because I know more about this than anyone else in the world does. Scientists aren't paying attention because they're brain dead. Right? The top people in the world that think they're so special about it, they're brain dead. They're in brain lock denial. and they're inverted and using every inverted tool in the world. And let me explain it to you. In Australia, in 2019, 550,000 cattle died and 80,000 horses and even 2,000 camel. That's unseen. Why did they die? Malnutrition. And what was the malnutrition? The power, the sixth sense. The power of positivity of the sixth sense in the animals didn't work. So they collapsed and died. That happened in Kansas 5.5 months ago to 550,000 cattle as well. Then a month later, 650,000 sheep in the Middle East. Birds are flying out of the sky everywhere, falling by the thousands in locations all over the world for the same reason. The frequencies are going out in the world, and we're going into massive extinction through the sixth sense being stripped from us, and we control the planet. We do. We control the planet. Our sixth sense is the most powerful tool on earth that keeps the life and everything in nature in balance with those frequencies. And when we lose our balance and go into mental disorders and didnt defects and think too much psychologically and mentally, we're in five senses and we destroy the planet. And that's what's happening to all over the earth. You've lost between 40 and 90% nutritional value in all foods from nature to where it's grown in fast foods by companies, where it's lost 90%, 40% in nature. You've lost 13% oxygen all over the world to 22%. You've lost water quality between 22% natural quality to 44% in some taps around the world. And people still in denial about it, where you're losing all the positive fields and everything has a personality. I've gone into evidence about this. So let me make this very clear to you. Okay, the last time the world got wiped out, mammoths are found in many locations going around in circles when they pick up the tusks as the ice thaws out. That's still happening in Siberia. Massive circles of mammoths. There are 3 other locations, even locations with dinosaur bones in one area in the tabletops in Malaysians, where they're going around circles where the most dinosaurs are in the whole world. When they went into extinction, they were going around circles there as well. Now you have animals all over the world on farm properties by the thousands going around circles. That means they're losing their sixth sense. You know why? Because an animal can always feel a tsunami coming, or an earthquake, or anything like this, and run away from it. But their sixth sense, they're losing their sixth sense, and very confused and frustrated like the whole world is, because majority of people in the world is confused and frustrated and live in brain-locked denial about it and live in a comfort zone in their own little bubble and still are confused and frustrated. Today's recorded 93% of the whole Western civilization is confused and frustrated by DNA evidence that you can go and get done yourself and see it yourself. You strip from your sixth sense. You take one molecule, 15 minutes later, it works. And that's the evidence. And you can go and get tested immediately at a Unifed store immediately. 99% of people in the Western civilization are negative. And they believe they're positive, but they lie about it. They're too afraid to go and get a test. You know why they're too afraid? Because their soul knows and their mind works against their soul. Everyone's the greatest psychological player in human history and confused about it. Against their own spirit, in case you don't know, it's a spiritual warfare. And the spiritual warfare is happening to all living things all over the earth, including Mother Nature. Because you're not in harmony with it. You're not in harmony with life and all living things. You're in harmony with materialistic things. The materialistic people, right, that you depend on so much. You depend on everything with science and materialism. And that's the inverted people. And what you're getting all over the world today is a division between natural, organic motor skills and unnatural motor skills of thinking with a high IQ. And being deceived into this dramatically and no longer human. Most people are not human, declared on documents, and they don't care because they lost their moral values as they twist the fabric too so much to live in their own bubble, in their own comfort zone, that they normalise what's moral use today non-stop, and they don't care. They pretend they care, they pretend to be humans, but they can't function like a human in real life. Words mean nothing because your action speaks louder than words, and for some reason the world's of this delusional behaviour that words mean everything and words are the truth. Words are the most damaging thing to your DNA. Silence speaks in volumes, and you've completely lost your whole principality and power to use your natural organic motor skills to know that. Your mind plays tricks and games and you become your own worst enemy. Everyone knows that. Now you think without 99% of the time. That's unnatural. You're supposed to think instinctively 99% of the time. Totally inverted. So 99% of the Western civilization is the problem because they have multiple chains wrapped around that depend on so much with materialistic things, with science, with medication, with social media platform, And we were watching this for many years ago and watching you going mental, 7 times more mental today on documents than 45 years ago, because you think 7 times more and you have psychosis all over the world. And 99% of people take drugs to numb themselves, recorded on evidence yesterday afternoon. Right? In Denmark and the whole of Nordic, they've discovered 36% higher mental disorders in all the youth and the children at school on mainstream media. 36% higher in no more than a few months. ADHD medication running out in 14 countries in the world. Animals going around in circles. Nature collapsing all over the world. And what do you fucking care? Because you're Babylonian beasts. You will not disconnect yourself from nature. I mean, from all these materialistic things and all the things you love so much, because you can't. You're controlled by Baal. All things negativity, taking the whole world into a massive extinction. That's what I was designed for. That's what I was called for. And in 2012, when people died all over the world and went through these methodological events, believe me, I went through one of the most dramatic things anyone's ever faced in human history that no man on earth has been prepared for. I did not prepare myself for what happened. But what happened was beyond this dimension, as I went into another dimension and was sent back. And from that day, I was free from the human conditioning. I was free from amnesia and discovered amnesia like everybody else does. And I went through a mythological event for 3.5 years where the devil was chasing me. I was stabbed 27 times. I was shot in the chest. I had 7 different comas. I was in hospital 14 times. And I beat every single event for a reason, for this moment, for this very moment that we're in now. And now you're seeing the frequencies change, and you can stop listening to every other robot on social media platform and take a fucking good look at nature and the animals and what's really happening. Because very few people on this earth are really humans and are going to give up their society, because they're Babylonian beasts, and they are the inverted. They can't use their moral values in the right place with their intuition. They can't feel things between right, wrong, and evil, so they come to every single conclusion with reasoning, the way that they're designed to come to the conclusion with reasoning, like a robot to fact-check Google himself, with an outside influence in their reality controls them, the voice in their mind that they think with all the time, and when they believe in their own truth and live in a bubble about it. Stress-related diseases is the parasites in every single thing in the world. Do you know that? Because it's true. It's stress that's killing the whole world, and confusion and frustration. And who do you think is the most confused is? Every Babylonian beast in the world that's inverted. You know who that is? Every single person that's been taking the drug delivery system, which is graphene oxide to conduct with, and they conduct with their mental mind on reverse psychology in 5 senses, right? Every negative person in the world, right, is conducting to an outside influence in their reality right now with a device, an electronic magnetic device that's changing the frequencies all over the earth. That's why you have to have your principality in the right place in order to maintain your power. Because there's an outside influence in our reality. You were warned about that in the Bible. Be careful with principality and power in the air. Only the elect will not be deceived. Only the witness will know the truth. And only he will know the resurrection of humanity, to get out of this mindset, to go back to the primal state, to think instinctively with this natural organic motor skills. Only he will know. And who do you think it is? Go and search your social media platform all over the world and see if you can find that person. Because you've been looking at it for months. And you have no faith in it because you're mental. You're all mental. When you have no faith in me, you're mental. And you're not in God's image. And that's a message from God. Because God designed me for this moment. And every day you're going to get more evidence, and you're going to see more things explode all over the world that are strange phenomena. And you want to pay attention to what I say, or you will fail dramatically. I say this from the kindness of my heart because I care. I'm very different than everyone else, and believe me, I will not give up, because I know AI is artificial intelligence, the alien invasion, and that's how Satan gets through to our whole world. It's the AI world. It's modern technology, modern gadgets with images that you're warned about that controls everyone in the world. Everybody's best friend is a phone. And what's the first thing they give their child at 4 years old? A phone. And then there's sexually frustrated 8 years old because they watch porn all day and the parents don't even care anymore. You want to wake up to yourself? Then wake up to reality. The stress-related diseases going out of control is created by psycho programs. You can read the documents that the military complex designed televisions and radio waves and telephones and social media platforms through Silicon Valley and Hollywood as psychological warfare. You can read the documents, man. Psychological warfare. And do you know what? We didn't fall for that shit. But 99% of you did. And you're all confused about it. Why do you think it's written on the documents that all televisions and all telephones and all your education is set up on psychological warfare? Who do you think designed that? 120 years ago, through Law and Order documents 300 years ago, right? Book of Statistics, How to Confuse the Population, the very book that Bill Gates holds up, the very book revised from Law and Order documents. So do you not understand things yet, or are you still confused about things around here? Are you? Because this prophet is Harari, the architect for the fourth industrial revolution. And both him and Klaus Schwab said the same thing. We're going to create great gods, and we're taking free will away. We're going to create great gods, and we have the divine power, creation, destruction, and we're going to take free will away like Hitler did. And what else did they say? They say God is finished. Fuck God. And there's no Christian, there's no Christ. And anyone with their spiritual connections and spiritual thoughts is gone, finished. Their free will is over. And your whole governments all over the world and all the inverted people that love CAI will sign into this. Right? And now, one of the head CEOs for Google just retired yesterday and quit in fear. He designed the AI world and he's so terrified what have he designed, he quit. It's all over the world stage media because the AI world's already taken over mankind. Satan himself. And you were deceived into this with your social media platforms to create endorphins and be stoned all the time and thinking correctly, and you can't think with your sixth sense. And your DNA is collapsing, the parasites coming into you because that's a real people. That's what we were warned about. That's what the Bibles were removed for. The very most important Bibles in the world was removed for that very reason, so you wouldn't know what the parasites are, but that's the real people coming out of the ground, coming into you, possessed by the devil. And how many people think they're possessed by the devil? Let me give you an idea. The Bible tells you it'll be more than 2/3 will fail. Who do you think the third is that's going to be saved? They're the street people that don't live by the Babylonian beast system and don't even like social media platform. They're the humble people, like the indigenous people from third world countries that also hate social media platform, that lives by the vineyard rule and lives by the rules of life and the laws of life that you don't live by. They're the humble people like monks and Buddhists and Shulam masterminds that hate social media platform and not confused into this. But your forefathers can be seen in the footsteps that you follow and the tools that you use. We know who your forefathers are, and we know who your gods are, no matter what comes out of your mouth, because your action speaks our words, and we know who you are. We know who the inverted are when we walk down the street. And it's 99% of you that are in Western civilization, I can guarantee you that. The 1% is the people from the streets, man. The ones that God chose all over the world in these strange, phenomenal moments. And I'm not saying to be unkind, I'm telling you for a reason, right? Because everything in this world, right? You cannot believe in God and the natural laws of life and the golden rules and believe in governments and authorities at the same time. That's not possible. That's how fucked up most of you are. That's not possible. Even the experts all over the world are telling you this. Even one of the biggest experts, Mark Gobin on Jessica Hale, said that the other day. If you believe in the golden rule, you cannot possibly support the government. I put a post up with Eddie Murphy, who made that very clear in 1992. You cannot believe in the governments. So when we were young, right, I want to make something clear. Everybody in the neighborhood used to talk to each other and smile, right? And they depended on us, the gangsters. Right? They depended on us, right? They had more faith in us than cops and politicians. That was only 45 years ago, man. 40 years ago. They had more faith in us, right? Now there are gangsters coming out, tattooed warriors all over the fucking world and standing up to the occasion, man. We always told you, fucking morons, never believe in the system of governments, man. They're the most evil scumbags in the world. And you didn't fucking listen to us, right? Well, we've always been there to protect you and your children, haven't we? We were always the ones you could depend on the most because we don't use their fucking marketing strategy or their tools. We use honesty as best policy. And we always told you, right? Don't get programmed to be a fucking moron. Use your intuition, man. We are the most loyal, respectful people in the world recorded on documents in the biggest amount of research. We have the highest moral standards in the world. Why do you think that happened? Because it's true, man. Right? We didn't cop their fucking shit. When we were told we had mental disorders and rejected by 90% of society, right? It was them that was fucking horrible towards us, that made us feel bad and terrible and made us feel like we were rejected and mental disorders, when in fact it's them, right? And we know that today, because now we are the masterminds in this world, recorded by the biggest think tank in the world. We're the ones with the biggest masterminds. We're the ones with the most moral values. And just so you understand, it's recorded in October 2004 that I gave 90% of my money away to people suffering. $70 million. Me and my amigos brought the highest hit time haircut came to the lowest, and the highest violence and the highest gang killing in 30 fucking years. We did it in 4 years. We couldn't depend on your fucking filthy, disgusting system because they were creating it. And you turned a blind eye at the same time. It was on the front page of the papers what they were doing, and you turned a blind eye. So we had to do something when you didn't. Right? And you think you're chosen this path where you never done nothing for society? You've never done nothing for anybody. You just consume too much and pretend that you do, but you're all liars out there. And I'm here to tell you how it is. I'm here to tell you how it is, right? We're raising the occasions all over the world, and I'm getting those reports from many places. The government and the system and the AI world has got to go down, man. It doesn't matter what it takes. It has to be done dramatically. It has to be done with their intuition in the right place and moral values in the right place. Not with violence, but with force. Because the word and your moral values is the sword. And most people in the world do not have that sword and those moral values in the right place, because they come to their conclusion with reasoning to justify all the action, and it's finished. It's over. Believe me, when you start seeing the planet change like this and the frequencies, let me explain something to you. The governments and authorities with the AI world is what the problem is that's causing every mental disorder in the world to go through the roof. People can't function with the system the way they behave. They can't function with job centers. They can't function with the governments, right? And we're seeing people from the job centers that work for the job centers that doesn't like what they're doing. We're talking to doctors and hospitals that knows what's going on and don't like what they're doing, but they're controlled by a system. There are millions of people out there that are controlled by the system, but they know there's something wrong with the system, right? Everybody knows there's something wrong with the system. Stress and anxiety is going through the roof, right? Frequencies are changing all over the world. Mental disorders are going up. Gene defects, cancer defects, all over the world. People are going into stress and anxiety, being confused and frustrated all over the world. Visions and dreams. Now we're watching mainstream media with mental disorders going up 36 times in their youth. 36% worse. And is anyone paying attention to what's causing this? It's the system causing it. It's the governments and authorities who apply different rules and regulations every day of their life. New rules, new regulations, new tax, GDS tax, right? Okay? Every single thing, carbon tax. They just can't stop. They're mental. They're completely mental. They've lost their fucking mind and going fast into nowhere, but our extinction. They're taking us all into extinction with their mental behavior and come to their conclusion with reasoning, but they're never happy. They have to implement new laws and regulations and new taxes every day. They're never happy. They're mental. They don't even know what they're proving anymore. They're just mental and they're on the take, right? Because they're all corrupt. Take a look at the bank accounts when they come into politicians and then they walk out. They all got big fat bank accounts. Their bank accounts triple or more in the system that they're inside, the politician, right? It's a political field, right? These top bureaucrat idiots always get rich in the time they're in there, right? And get set up on a marketing strategy with a pension that's 10 times better than yours for the rest of their life, just for serving 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years, or 8 years. These are monsters here in this world. Monsters that doesn't care about humanity. And there are people on the streets everywhere suffering today. Everyone is suffering from stress and anxiety that we talk to and can't deal with things, right? Doctors and nurses in hospital can't deal with it neither. We have been talking to them one-on-one. They know the system's doing something terrible, but they can't use their moral values in the right place, even though they know. Don't you realize what's happening all over the world? That people are inverted and they don't care. They want to support the AI world. Every government does. They're putting apps on your phones. You've got to use more apps and more security system on the phones. That makes people fucked up in the head. It's a proven fact, right? That every modern technology that they force upon you is what screws them the most, and the laws that they implement and the conditions they put you under non-stop with more documents and more paperwork and more documents and more paperwork is what damages the DNA the most. These people are mentally insane. And it's a known fact. They keep pushing the same buttons and now they're pushing them 7 times faster because they're mental and they're controlled by the AI world. They're controlled by Satan, for God's sake. It's proven on documents. The voice and mind's ultimate design for human extinction, and 93% of the Western civilization beyond the point of return, they're controlled by the voice and the mind. That's Satan, warned in Revelation. And people are feeling it all over the world, man. And people have strange phenomena as their frequencies are changing and they're going through mythological events with visions and dreams, man. 16,000 people found me here over the last 3 years with visions and dreams. More than 1,600 pastors and priests come to me through visions and dreams. Do you think it's by coincidence? Because I think you all need to wake up and think outside the mind and do exactly what I say in practice what I preach so you can break free from amnesia. And that's the resurrection of humanity. Go back to your primal state so you don't suffer the consequences. In a time where time stands still, life preserving becomes perfect. No pain, stress, and fear. That's the dimensions that are splitting. In case you don't know. The frequencies is the proof of this, and the magnetic fields that 2 dimensions are splitting as warned by the UFO disclosure on the mainstream media all over the world and as reported by the Looking Glass program. And what did I say to you? I went into these 2 dimensions and I saw the future. I know the future for us, and I know very few people makes it. And I'm sorry to tell you that, but 99% of people cannot practice what I preach. They just live there, listen to social media platform and think information and critical thinking is going to fix things. They have no idea. They've got to make a genuine relationship and they've got to dedicate their life to go back to their primal state to think outside the mind. And the only way to do that right now is the We're Not Breathing program and the cold shower activation. It's the only thing in the whole world that works. Why do you think you won a Nobel Prize? Nothing else works, man. And if you don't get serious about this, you're going to fail because you're not creating that relationship. You're not getting connected with your own primal instincts. And you know what that is? It's your prime instincts. Your primal instincts is who you are and created in that image with loyalty, honor, respect, moral, inspiration, and encouragement. They're the tools you're supposed to use, which is an outside influence on your reality when you're connected with it. And that means connected with a relationship. Nothing less works. None of your deceptional behavior and your thinking all the time is going to work for you. You can sit there and say you believe, but knowing is what you need to know, not believing. You were told you got to go through resurrection, and it'll come 3.5 years before the end times, and it's 227, whether you like it or not. It's on the New York climate clock with a warning of a 7-year countdown from 220 to 227. The devil came across the planet in 220, in case you don't know. In the 27-year walk into the Antichrist, right? That's now. So the first 7 years is 220 to 227 on the New York climate clock. If you're not with that program, you're not with the program at all. You're on your own program. Those that think instinctively tune out of the program. Those that don't won't. Right? Those that think instinctively back in their primal state to think outside the mind can do what Jesus can and more. Can resurrect and not have a death experience. Those that don't won't, no matter what they say. You have to be reborn, not born again, reborn. Reborn means break free from amnesia and discover who you are, what you hear the meaning of life is. And to discover that is to stick your head through the cave, the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you realize it's the beginning, not the end. Then you realize you had amnesia and you look back in the tunnel and realize everyone else has too. That's what's happening around the world. In case you don't know. Right? So this is a stern warning with more love and compassion you could ever begin to imagine, because God does not give up on any of you. And he gives the righteous the authorities to speak on his behalf with fire coming out of our mouth. And we'll come like a thief in the night because you can trust a thief more than a liar. We'll come like criminals because you can trust a criminal more than you can trust an ordinary person that turns a blind eye. We'll come from the caves of the prison with the truth to the masses. And believe me, we are. The books is the evidence. The books are unfolding with evidence perfectly that you have no faith in whatsoever because you're too selfish, egotistical, and judgmental and competitive. And that's who you really are, because you follow your father's footsteps. And believe me, every tool that you use in this world shows who you really are, because you can't think instinctively anymore. You can't think outside the mind with an outside influence with frequencies of love, pure love pouring all over you that gives you the power. Because when you have the right principality in the right place, you have the God-given power you don't have. Principality and power in the air is what's happening all over the world, right? And those that think instinctively will be tuned into the right program. Those that won't. Because they're all like robots to fact-check Google themselves. They are the AI world. They're artificially thinking on a reverse psychology with a high IQ that makes them damn good at what they do, and that's an artificial insemination. They're inseminated into education to think invertedly, so they can't do with the things that I can and more. So they can't do none of the things that Jesus can more. And then they're stuck in their reincarnation trap for 1,000 years and they're going to wish they were dead. Recorded in the Bible. It's the reason why they say you're going to wish you were dead, because you're going to be stuck in a reincarnation trap. You're going to wish we were dead for 1,000 years because you're going to be stuck in a reincarnation trap you don't have any faith in. Well, you've been stuck in that for thousands of years, haven't you? And right now, we're discovering who we are and breaking free from amnesia to discover who we are, what we are, and the meaning of life is. And if you're not with that program, then you never will be, because you follow your father's footsteps and you have different gods. And believe me, the different gods are here and they're coming through in your DNA, and they're parasites through stress-related diseases and everything through endorphins to program yourself through education and through the social media platform that entertains you so much from Silicon Valley, from the military complex, and Hollywood spins, and everybody's using them to better themselves, far left, far right, and I'm better than anyone. Yep, that's the Western civilization. Psychologically fucking mental. And then they take drugs to numb themselves and they lie about it. America's got the worst DNA in the world. That's why most of them died from both the COVIDs and the vax. That's why they've got more unifits there, right, than anywhere else in the world. They kill each other more than anyone. Drive-by shooting, right? Killers, monsters, sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? They use 2 tons of meth every week that comes in from Mexico, right? They have 80,000 people die from opiates every year. And fentanyl, there's zombies walking around the streets everywhere, only in America. Where else do you see this? Only America, where they're most mental and most egotistical, because they're the Babylonian beast, and that's what they're doing to the whole human society, in case you don't know. Everybody, right, they want us to be just like them so they can control the whole world for the military complex. That is Babylon, you morons. NATO, NASA, NSA, and the CIA is the beast, man, with the AI world that hooks up quantum computer with Google, right, in Area 51, Pine Gap, Australia, where the office runs from. It's 56 floors under the ground. Pine Gap, Area 51, Australia. That's where every frequency runs from, for 200 frequencies that controls you and the mindset that you live in, because you're not in the right frequencies. And we can see that all over the world now, changing nature and the frequencies in the whole planet. And believe us, we have the power to change the circumstances. And our planet goes into another dimension while yours goes into a massive extinction, because you're attached to your modern technology and you can't let go. You can't let go because you follow your forefathers' footsteps. You love Baal, and you love the Babylonian beast, and you love free will, and you got it. You got exactly what you want. Your own judgment, right? Your own thoughts and your own belief system, and everything you believe in, your selfish, egotistical behavior becomes your own judgment. You got what you want. You got free will. You got Babylon. And that's the dimension you go into. While we go in a time where time stands still and life becomes perfect. No more pain, stress, and fear. Well, we live up the tree of life, and you live up everything else because you love it so much. That's a warning, because now you're getting evidence all over the world is about to happen. Something you can't explain, can you? Something you can't explain. None of you can, but you all think you can with your scientific BS. Trust me, there's a lot more to the eye than you know. Right? You go ahead and believe in aliens, you go ahead and believe in all these fuckwits all over the fucking world, and I'm going to show you a thing or two. Trust me. Okay? I've already left my mark on with the 6 most powerful international events against the AI world, and what happened in one of those events. The nuclear warheads and NSA was put into a glitch in their whole system for 10 days. That's the most powerful confirmation and evidence on earth that they don't have a chance against God's power. Not even remote chance, when God can do that, like that. Like that. And put every nuclear warhead out and their whole NSA security system out for 10 days in a glitch. Oh yeah, God has the power around here. And you're going to see something happen in this world that's going to blow your fucking mind away, and you're going to wish you were dead for 1,000 years if you don't get your priorities right. That's a warning, guys. Love you all, and I hope you do what I say, practice what I preach, and go back to your primal state, because for us, it's the most beautiful time to be alive, man. Right? We have the right frequencies. We're not going to get confused by this BS shit. Right? They can take their frequencies and shove them up their ass, right, with their device. Because everything that people's taking in drug delivery system all over the world, including the experiment, is a device. Recorded as a device, registered device by DARPA, biotech, by every single vax company, right, including the FDA and the food process. It's a device, an electric-magnetic device, which means conducts people to another outside influence in their reality, and most people conduct into that, to those frequencies. But we're not. We were watching this for years, our whole life. That's why we went through these events, because we did not go into the system that you all went into. That's why most people are possessed by the devil now. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about, and it's hardcore news, but it's facts, man, and you got to deal with it. That's why more people are becoming more inverted, right, and more divided, right, because they're becoming more psychological robots, and you're becoming more human as you follow your instincts, your intuition. Never forget that. It's about loyalty, honor, respect, moral, mirrors, inspiration, encouragement, and believe me, they're your principalities, and when they're in the right place, God will give you the power. Trust me. He will protect you so you will not have a death experience, and you will not fear nothing, right? You will not fear nothing in this world. But it's coming. It's coming. And the news is coming, and it's going to be big. Trust me. I know I've seen the future. Love you guys.
Love you guys.